All right, so I will kind of quickly spend some time on what Anani was asking about. When you say the Russian faction in the upper right, I'm assuming you're talking about Gustava up here. The big thing I would say, and a couple of people already mentioned it, but definitely consolidate. So as Gustava, I believe they're actually in, for the most part, aside from Norbas, the position they start in. You've got 3 castles that need defending to start with. So you want to build 3 teams of 3. You only need 3 knights worth of stuff. When you're picking your knights, obviously your leader is going to be one of them. But when you go to your knights, what you want to do is, when I click on Maximilian here, for example, the stats you really want to pay attention to for knights that you're picking, command range is big. Anybody who has a command range under 4, honestly, is not going to be that great. Because when your monsters are outside of your command range, they get significantly weaker, and having a command range of 3 is really limiting. The other thing is character growth. B or above is honestly your ideal, but if you have a knight, like Maximilian's actually a decent example of this, his base stats are already decently high. 95 strength at level 17 as a knight, that's pretty decent to start with. So I don't mind as much that his character growth is lower. But B or above for the most part is going to be better. The other thing you want to look at is your rune power, because this determines how many monsters you can have, right? And you can see your leader is pretty much always going to have amazing rune power, but I got Rubino here at level 11 who has 20 more rune power already than a level 17. So he can hold a lot more in terms of monsters. Yeah, Sin is an exception. Sin is very good. Most special characters. So Pick right here is a special character. You can see nobody else has the class that he has. Most special characters are just going to be good flat out. When it comes to Gustava, I would highly recommend, let's see if I can find them for you here, ignore Coco and Hazarov. They're actually kind of terrible. They both have low command range. Look at how low her character growth is. Same thing with Hazarov. He's got better command range and character growth, but he's just not that great, honestly. Look how low this dude's agility is. It's 36. He's level 19 with 36 agility. He might as well be a freaking golem. Look at this. I got a level 12 golem who has 37 agility. This level 12 golem can hit things better than Hazarov can. So Hazarov has this crazy high strength at 106. He's not going to hit anything with it. So the fact that they start out at tier 2 means they're going to be great for questing. Send them on quests, which I'll talk about that in a second here. When you get Null's pretty decent. See, 4 character growth, 4 range, that's good. Let's see, who else is good? Your monk dude, here we go. Alson is a pretty good choice to start out with. He's got pretty good stats all around. He's got good command range. He's got good growth. He starts out as your tier 3. He's super solid. Agility determines hit chance, yeah. So that's why some things will just have insanely low hit chance, because their agility sucks. Sylvie here is also actually a pretty solid one. She's got good command range, character growth. She is going to do you pretty well. Let's see, who else? There's one other in particular I'm looking for. Jazz is okay, but I think you get her pretty far on into the game. Ivan is okay. He's not the worst, but he's not going to be the best. The last one I'm looking for, the last 2 actually, are these 2. So Ginger is going to be really solid. She's just a really good caster. And then I am actually a pretty big fan, even though her character growth is pretty low. Iona, being a minstrel, is going to give you a lot of utility. So I think she's actually an okay choice. The other ones, you want to send them questing. And the thing about questing, so when you go to your knights, right? When you're looking at your unit information, it'll tell you right here, their preferred terrain. That preferred terrain gives you a hint as to where you want to send them questing. So your archers have a preferred terrain of forests, for example. So you notice when I click on Theodora, over here on the quest options, the outlook goes higher on Aran Forest. And you can see right here, it shows you her level is contributing to that, and her class is contributing to that. If I go to the hills, her level contributes, because she's still a level 10, she's a tier 2, but her class doesn't, so she has lower probabilities here. So I would recommend anybody who's below level 10, send them on XP quests with monsters loaded up, because their monsters will get XP too, until they hit 10, then put them in their tier 2 class, and send them to whatever place they're going to be good at. The exception to that is the Thief class line. They get bonuses like pretty much everywhere, so you can send them almost wherever you want. The Grapplers are good at places that have hills. The Lancers, the female spear class, is good at like valleys. The Knights and Priests are good at plains. And that's kind of your main like default ones that you'll be looking at. So you want them to quest because they get you items that allow you to equip stuff and also can improve the stats of your characters. That way also you could, like I said, with the XP ones, you could kind of beef up some of your weaker monsters to make them better. Let me read some chat things really quick because I've seen some things coming in. Yeah, that's explaining the stats. Level under 10 is flat penalty. Yeah. The in-game tutorial didn't explain, said I knew class system to this stuff, but it was determined by the... Yeah, it's preferred terrain is going to be the base thing for it. And then if you have anywhere that has straits like oceans, those are generally going to be your Vikings, which I don't have any of to show an example of that. 10 to 19 is minimum 1 chevron. Training ground is more effective on lower level, lower tier knights. Yeah. The other thing is, and at this point, I think most of the quest knights have been snatched up, so I might not have an example of it anywhere. Let me see if I do, though. Aha, there we go. If you see this icon on any questing things, that means you can potentially get a questing knight. You can't get them from the XP training grounds, so that's never an option. But if you have this right here, you can get them, and you can get some really good knights by questing. For example, I managed to get 2 of the best ones just by complete luck. Ball here, look at that, character growth S, command range 4. He starts out low level, I think he starts at level 3, but he is like arguably one of the best knights in the game aside from leaders. Once you get him leveled up, that's what people will refer to as a project knight, because he takes a lot of work to get to that high level, but he's great once he does. Tomas starts at level, I think, 11, but he comes with character growth A, command range 4, and because he's level 11, he starts out a little bit stronger. You just don't have as much control over where he goes. It's not guaranteed to get the knight when you see the icon. You can make it so it always succeeds, but you're not actually guaranteed to do it. And depending on the difficulty level you've set, the AI can also get those knights. I think if you play on easy, the AI can't. But any difficulty above that, the AI can also get them, so you're kind of competing with them. Yeah, and there is a set list with, like, some of the prerequisites are like kind of demanding. Like, I think the most demanding is you have to send somebody out who has 300 rune power or above. So you basically have to send out like one of your best knights questing. So that can be kind of rough. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. And then when you're summoning, your best summoning pool is going to come from your capital. And you're going to want to obviously prioritize the higher tier stuff. What I recommend is making sure you have a good front line. Then you want about 3 backliners, which are going to be things like your demon. You could always identify a backliner because they have, like nuking spells like Curse, and they're a little bit too flimsy to put on your front line. Surprisingly, if you're low on mana, goblins are actually pretty damn decent. You can, in a pinch, use them as a frontliner, but if you use them as a backliner and use their Paralyze Wave, especially once you class them up to their Tier 2 and Tier 3 stuff, goblins are pretty good. So you want a frontline, about 3 backliners, and then supports. I like having 2 healers, and then maybe a pixie on the team. But as long as you got some heals, you're good. Rocks are also good because you could upgrade them into Phoenixes, which have a area heal, so you can kind of put them in the back of your team, and like you got a healing battery more or less. From there, when you go into battles, you kind of set up a formation like you saw in that last battle I was fighting, and that'll help kind of pull you through it. Yeah, she is quite good. It's just that you get her so late that you usually have all your teams set up. So I think she'd be awesome in challenge mode, but maybe not so awesome in... I've never used her in a normal playthrough, just because by the time you get her, you're so far along. Yes, you could definitely bait the AI into just fighting weak stuff, for sure. Yeah, don't sweat it. And then when he says monomerical, if you don't know what that is, you start with one. Every faction starts with one monomerical. If they get this symbol, all of their stats are better, and their stat growth is also better. Yeah, but I'm like not streamer savvy enough to know how to clip stuff or have the wherewithal and effort to do that. So that is like all of my beginner tips I can give you. If you have any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them and try to fill in on that. So monsters do have stat growth, yeah, and when you summon them, in fact, I won't use it, I'll just get rid of it, but I'm not going to use my mana for anything else. So when I summon my wyvern right here, right? Watch it just be a monomerical just because it wants to rub it in my face that I can't use it. Oops. And of course I was impatient. But when it summons there, you could actually see the pluses and minuses, but it'll tell you what the changes from the base stats are here. So this is actually a pretty terrible wyvern I just summoned, because its most notable stat, its agility, is lower than it should be, its int is lower, its MP is lower, but its HP is higher. So every time you summon something, there will be minor variations in its stats this is a bad one for sure. Let me go in really quick and release that, because using it would be a violation of my challenge rules. But yeah, so you basically right now, because you're low on mana, you just gotta take what you get. But for the most part, you're gonna want to try to summon until you get something that's got decent stats. Yeah, if the CP is red, it's not good. And there's sometimes, like if I was summoning a demon, for example. Do I have demons available here? Probably not. They're probably angels. Yeah, so if I'm summoning an angel, right? I don't really care about an angel's strength and agility, because the chances I'm going to put an angel on the front line are pretty damn low. So if it has like super low strength, super low agility, super low HP, but its int and MP went up because it's a caster, so that's all I care about, that's actually still good. Like that's a solid summon. If it's like +4 int, +10 MP, but like -4 strength, -4 agility, that's all right. That's okay. You could do that. Kind of felt like I was outclassed, barely beat them back, but their leader was in the fight, and I'm pretty weak. Yeah, like, what I would say is, and again, the battle I just did is kind of an example of this, don't be afraid to cut your losses. Like, honestly, retreating to get a better tactical situation is oftentimes going to be your best choice.